Why is it that when India talks about Kashmir, it's oppression, but when America talks about Puerto Rico, it's policy? Why does the media fixate on the political unrest in Kashmir, while barely mentioning the decades-long economic crisis and democratic deficit in Puerto Rico? Welcome to Sacred Echoes of India. In this segment, we are going to talk about Kashmir and Puerto Rico, two vastly different regions, yet both facing starkly different media narratives. Let's get one thing straight. Kashmir is an integral part of India, enshrined by its constitution. Puerto Rico, it's an unincorporated territory of the United States, not a state, not a sovereign nation. A gray zone with no voting rights in Congress and limited self-determination. Yet, Western headlines often paint India as authoritarian for asserting control over Kashmir, while Americans' colonial-style oversight of Puerto Rico is treated like an administrative footnote. So, here is the big question. Is this really about human rights, or is it about narrative control? Let's take a closer look. In Kashmir, India has faced decades of cross-border terrorism, largely fueled by neighboring Pakistan. Thousands have died, and yet, in recent years, violence has dropped sharply. Tourism is rising, infrastructure is developing, schools and hospitals are being rebuilt. Meanwhile, in Puerto Rico, American citizens, yes, citizens, live without a vote in presidential elections. The island has declared bankruptcy, faced crippling hurricanes, and endured chronic underinvestment in healthcare and infrastructure. Yet, it rarely makes global headlines. Why? Because one is treated as an integral matter of a Western superpower, and the other, a convenient geopolitical talking point. You would think Kashmir is still under siege. Think of it like this. You live in a building. Apartment A has had a violent neighbor throwing stones for years. The owners have been forced to lock doors, install cameras, and even call the police to secure the place. Now things are finally quiet and they are trying to redecorate, repaint, and rebuild. Meanwhile, Apartment B, run by the landlord's nephew, is falling apart. No electricity some days. No real say in how the building is run. But because the landlord is in charge, everyone is criticizing Apartment A for being too strict while ignoring B entirely. Kashmir is Apartment A, Puerto Rico is Apartment B, and the landlord, well, you know who that is. Here's what's often ignored. Kashmir has seen real progress in education, healthcare, infrastructure, women's rights, and job creation. The region is opening up for investment and tourism. So why does the focus remain on militarization and oppression? Because security sells headlines. Conflict narratives reinforce long-standing biases about the global South, that countries like India can't manage complexity without Western oversight. And here is the kicker. Western think tanks and media rarely apply the same moral standards to their own governments. Puerto Rico's lack of democratic representation, chronic poverty, and debt crisis that barely trends on social media, counterterrorism, and legitimacy. What will it take? Let's ask an honest question. What more must India demonstrate for its actions in Kashmir to be accepted as legitimate? Terrorist violence has sharply declined, free elections have been held, the economy is growing, and tourism is reopening. And yet, the suspicion persists. So what's the acceptable benchmark? If Western governments claim that stability is the foundation for democracy, then by their own logic, Kashmir's path forward should be acknowledged, not condemned. Because here is the truth. No country can develop while fighting off foreign-funded terror on its own soil. Let's be clear about the legal status difference. Puerto Rico is not a state. It has no senators. Its congressional representative can't vote. Its people can be drafted into the US military but can't vote for commander-in-chief. Kashmir, after the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019, is fully integrated into the Indian Union. It has elected representation, constitutional protections, and is governed like any other part of India. So ask yourself, how can a country that maintains a quasi-colonial hold over 3.2 million people critique another for unifying its own territory under constitutional law? At the end of the day, no region's history is simple. Kashmir has faced trauma, so has Puerto Rico. But double standards don't solve complex problems, they deepen them. So the next time you see a headline calling India authoritarian for its Kashmir policy, ask why the same lens isn't applied to Washington, D.C. when it comes to Puerto Rico. Because truth without context is propaganda. And in the battle of narratives, it's time we stop picking and choosing whose story gets told, Kashmir or Puerto Rico. If you believe in sovereignty, democracy, and development, then the standards must be the same for everyone. Thanks for joining us today. If you liked this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful videos. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.